Hey there everyone, Josiah here with Womprat Creations, and it is the final video in the painting and weathering and construction of this beautiful Hero A New Hope DL44 kit that I got from Blaster Factory. We already went through the scope and the scope mount. Today is everything else. I go through the weathering of the main body as well as the hand grips, which I think turned out pretty nice. So let's get into it. All right, you guys, it is time to finish up my Hero DL44 build. And so what I need to do today is address the body of the blaster. I did the scope mount. Now I need to finish it up. So first thing that I need to do is I need to paint this whole piece right here, this silver piece, black. I need to weather the flash hider, and then I need to go through and I need to do some weathering on the body. But before I can even do that, there's one greebly that I need to add to this blaster, and it goes right here. And it's just a circle. This weapon didn't come, this blaster did not come with one, but I actually found something that is like the perfect size, just coincidentally, and it is metal. This is a punch out from a metal outlet box that I had for another project that I've been working on, and this was actually sitting on the floor after I had punched it out of the outlet box, and so it happened to be the exact right size, so I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to glue it right onto there. But it also needs to be painted and weathered along with everything else. So then I also need to do some weathering on the hand grips, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet. Well, I think I do, but I haven't made up my mind yet. There's a couple things I could do for that, but I'm going to do the things that I know what I'm going to be doing first, which is the painting. So I need to disassemble the barrel of this, get the barrel painted, and I'll do a coat of black on here for weathering, and I'll also go ahead and paint this before, I'll go ahead and paint this before I attach it to the blaster. That way, because from the reference pictures that I'm seeing, this little greebly is more weathered than the actual weapon is around it. So if I had to guess, this was probably just something that was already like scraped up and they just glued onto the side of the blaster. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to paint this black just like everything else, and to weather it up really nicely and glue it on there. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, you guys, I have my greebly on there. I have my flash hider and the bigger barrel on the front, and everything is looking really great. I tried to take some steel wool to the body of the blaster, but it's not working. It was kind of doing what it was doing on the body of the scope, and then it was kind of roughing up the surface, but it wasn't going through to any metallic finish underneath. So what I'm gonna do to mimic that is actually kind of what I did on the body of the scope, but a little more controlled and a little more thought through. So I'm gonna take some silver rub and buff and I'm gonna dry brush some areas to make it look like there's some wear on the weapon going down to the bare metal of the blaster. So what that means is I'm gonna take actually probably this, well no, not this. This brush was used for something else and then not clean, so it's all stiff. But I will take a brush not unlike this, a really tiny brush. I will not get my dry brush, I will not get my brush wet. Wow, it's kind of late, I'm pretty tired, but I'm really excited and I want to get this blaster finished tonight. I am not going to get my brush wet. I am going to get just a little bit of rub and buff on the brush, and then I'm going to wipe most of it off onto like a paper towel. Then with just a little bit that's left like inside the bristles, I'm just going to lightly go over raised lines and anywhere on the blaster that I think would get receive some wear and tear. And then I'll also be referring to my reference pictures to see where the actual prop was weathered. So don't worry, I'll give you a close-up shot of all that. It'll make way more sense once I do, but I do need to find a usable brush. All right, you guys, so I have the body of my blaster weathered mostly according to the reference pictures. And yeah, I did. It's the next day. I tapped out last night. I got to the point where I was so tired that it would have been a disservice to you guys because I just couldn't talk. But it is the next day. My weathering paint has dried overnight, and now the last thing that I need to weather on this are the grips. Now, these are CNC machined out of walnut, and they look fantastic. There's a couple different things that I could do with these. I could do a stain and then do some weathering over that, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a black wash on this. I'm gonna do a black wash, should darken it up a little bit, get some grime down into the little grooves in this, and then I'm actually also going to hit it with my Dremel a little bit, because if you look at the reference pictures of the A New Hope DL44, you can see there's a couple nicks out of the wood on these grips. So I am going to replicate that with my cutting wheel and my Dremel, I guess. I'm just gonna hit it once or twice on both sides and call it good. But black wash, I'm gonna use an acrylic paint just because it mixes with water. I'm gonna hit it with a black wash, then I'm gonna hit it with the Dremel, and then I think my DL44 is gonna be finished. So let's get to it. All right, you guys, my blaster is finished. I have every bit of this weathered and scratched up and beat up, and I love it. I could not be happier with this blaster. This is, and I know I've talked to you guys about it before, but there's something really special, one, about being able to hold a prop that you grew up seeing on TV in your hands. Granted, this is not the one that was in the movie, but there's something really special about being able to grab something and hold it that you grew up loving. Then there's a whole nother layer to that when you can hold it and it occupies the same space. It is topographically accurate, and the weight of something does a lot for your head. It does a lot for how you perceive the object. And when something like this is the correct weight for what you would at least think that it would weigh, it just adds a whole nother layer of realism to it. Actually, hang on 1 second. All right, so this is my old DL44 blaster, and this is 3D printed, and because of that, it's super, super light. It's not a bad option if you're looking for a cheaper option, but it can't compare to something that weighs the same amount. And also, this is a fair bit more accurate than this, which I'm not putting down on this. You can, for 90% of people, especially if they aren't actually holding it and looking at it up close, would never know the difference between this and this. Yeah, 90% of people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They would think this is just as cool as this. But for me, there's something really, really special when something is created as accurately as possible. And for the price point that I can manage at this point, this is about as accurate as I can get, and I love it. And I had a ton of fun putting it together, and I hope you guys learned something new. Even if it's just that there's a fairly cost-effective, accurate, heavy blaster available for you guys. So thank you guys for tuning in for this whole series of building my A New Hope Hero DL44. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Let me ask you something. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to go and travel around a galaxy far, far away? I think it would be, but unfortunately, our technology does not allow us to do that yet. But you could pretend like you have. And the way you do that, I mean, what do you do when you go to visit a new place? You pick up a t-shirt that says that you were there, so you can go back home and wear it at the office and let people know that you're well-traveled. Now you can do that for the Star Wars universe too. We have a couple different t-shirts, but this newest one is probably my favorite. This is a Visit Civilized Endor t-shirt, and like I said, this one is probably my favorite one yet, and any one that you buy really helps us out with being able to produce cool content for you guys. So thank you guys for your support.
517 to scanner control. 517 to scanner control. 316, report to control. 53 to upper bay door. 53 to upper bay door.